Hi, it's May 5th. It's Cinco de Mayo. Hola mis amigos. Hola mi gente. May 5th, Cinco de Mayo 2020. And I'm back in my happy place, of course. The parks are closed on Wednesdays. But today is Tuesday, and I was walking along the path, and of course now the wind is going to pick up. I was walking along the path, and there's this big tree. And that's another tree. And it's a bit of an obstacle. I'm sitting on it right now, taking a little break, listening to the woodpeckers. And this is what I love about hiking out here. There's some pretty big hills. And there was a time in my life when I was incredibly out of shape and overweight. In fact, there was a time in my life where I was so ashamed of myself and my body and the number that I would see when I would step on the scale. Like, I guess my biggest fear was people finding out how much I weighed. I'll tell you, there was a time in my life where I weighed 322 pounds. I'll put the picture up as the opening image. And now I can look at that picture of myself and have compassion for that girl, because that was an outward symptom of the pain I was in. It was like my 312-pound body was my pain body. It was like those were the walls built of fat cells to protect myself from so much. And I have a lot of passion for people who struggle with that sort of thing. I still struggle with it. In fact, as I'm taking this walk today, I'm literally having an internal dialogue of how great it would be when I'm finished with this walk. It's going to be about 10 miles today. How great it would be to just get a beer. But the problem for me lately, it's been turning, I've alluded to this in other videos, and I guess this just goes to show, like, life happens in seasons and cycles. And I'm apparently in a season where I'm not satisfied with a beer or a glass of wine, and then it turns into like 2 or 3, and it's not even about drunkenness. It's just about not being completely sober, and then not being clear-headed and not being able to be of service to others or myself. And I don't wake up the next morning feeling awesome and like, let's do a workout or whatever. But the point is, there were many years in my life where I couldn't even do this path because I would huff and puff up the hill and I would just feel like I was dying. My knees would hurt, and it was a struggle. So I'm so grateful that I'm learning to appreciate the obstacles and the hills, because that's where you build muscle. It's where you build your soul muscle. What doesn't kill you does make you stronger. Some of my friends right now are going through some difficult, dark, lonely days, and I feel you. My heart really, really goes out to you. I wish I could just wave a magic wand and make it go away, but then really, would you? Like, would I be the person I am today if someone could have come into my life? Because I remember thinking to myself, I would see like fit and thin people on the street, and I would say, I would do anything to just trade bodies with this person. It was like the only thing I wanted in life was to just be normal. And I guess now I look back and ask myself, would I be who I am today if someone could have just pushed a button, if I could have just pushed a button and made myself normal? We all know there is no such thing as normal. But to my friends who, there's somebody in the woods. It's a animal. If I could share something with you today, it's just not to oversimplify it, but just keep swimming, keep reaching out. If you are just too overwhelmed or tired or exhausted to call a friend and you're feeling like you just want to end it all, at the very least call the suicide prevention number. Life is precious. And I'm so thankful that I can taste that now. I can taste and see that life is a gift. The good and the bad days. And the other thing I was thinking, here, let's start walking. I'm all comfortable. Actually, today I took a path I've never taken before, so for a little bit there was a couple forks and I didn't know which way to go, but my gut said, you hear that? Hear the woodpecker? I guess he's not going to do it again. My gut said, well, I'll just go that way. And I'm like, well, I hope I know how to get back. But I read a quote this morning about Albert Einstein talking about how intuition and listening to your gut is, I'm probably going to have to look down a lot because the path is there's roots and rocks, and I feel like I'm in a scene from like Fern Gully. It's like the tree cemetery. Lots of fallen trees, but now they're paying it forward to the soil. I love walking because I feel like this is where I do my best thinking. And I don't remember what I was saying. Yeah, Fern Gully. I loved that movie as a kid. Well, I'm on this path. I guess I'll just talk about the path I'm walking on right now. It's very treaded. It's very compacted. And as you can see, there's grass growing right here and not so much there because everybody has been walking on it. And it reminds me of Jesus' parables and the path and the sower who sows seed, and where does the seed grow, and how we are all ultimately personally responsible for cultivating our own soil. I think the Watchtower was really good at making the soil unreceptive to spiritual growth centered in faith in Jesus, because they were constantly pounding their new light doctrines. And I feel like that's why so many people leave that organization without faith. At first, when I left, I was rather surprised by how many people just stopped believing in God. And if that's where you are right now, who's flying airplanes, then it is where you are. My sweet friend today, I texted her, I'm like, do you want to join a Zoom meeting? We're talking about John chapter 7, verse 53 through John 8, verse 11, which if you look that up in a New World Translation of the Bible, you will find that it's not there. It's the verse that a lot of people do quote about he who thinks he is without sin casts the first stone. Well, of course, none of us can do that because we are all sinners. And my friend, who is not a believer, just said, no, but thank you for asking. And that made me feel better because I'm not here to shove the Bible down anybody's throat. That's the last thing I would want to do. I participate in this little Zoom group on Fridays, and part of me wants to leave the link, with permission of course, but I want to leave the link below so that anybody can come and just kind of observe or whatever, because it's such a lovely group. We talk about grace, and we kind of are a very little group. A lot of XJWs. There's an evangelical who used to be an atheist. Some other people from diverse backgrounds that had nothing to do with Jehovah's Witnesses, but now we all just kind of gathered together. But there's this part of me, selfishly, I guess, or from like a self-preservation standpoint, that I want to keep this little group safe and private, because when you open your doors to just anybody and everybody, you never know when the little narcissist is going to sneak his or her way into your room. And I guess that's what just will continue to happen generation after generation, which is why the Apostle Paul had such a caring heart for these fledgling congregations in the first century, because he knew that wolves dressed as sheep would enter these congregations. This morning, when we were talking about those missing verses in John, somebody brought up Pastor Russell, the founder of the Bible Students Association, which later became Jehovah's Witnesses, and how he literally said that he did not want this to become an organization. But then that's exactly what ended up happening. So I suppose one could say these Zoom groups and Bible study groups and church groups are organizations and therefore to be avoided. And I understand that, but I also know that I have received a lot of healing in these groups, and also really good challenges, being with people who don't understand everything the same way I do, and vice versa, and then we can still just be brothers and sisters. I love it. I know I've had this little spurt of video action. I was listening to an interview. I feel like I'm so late to the game of these interviews on London Real with Brian Rose, the interviewer. He was interviewing Jocko something or another, and he's talking about being self-disciplined and how discipline begets discipline. And that's where I was having this conversation in my head about wanting to just have a beer. And I'm like, nope, because like this guy, this Jocko guy, he's into Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and he was a Navy SEAL, very self-disciplined, and has specific goals for himself. And he was offered like a chocolate chip cookie. He didn't take it because in that time in his life, that is not what, that would take him off his track, off his path. And one of the paths among many that I feel like I have gotten a little detour off of during this whole quarantine time is health and wellness. So starting today and every day, I choose health over the beer. If there's something in this message that you found encouraging or the opposite, I'm just a girl in the woods who talks. Be well and keep knocking, keep searching. Just like today. It's not sunny, but I obviously know the sun is up there. I tasted it yesterday. I felt it on my face and it was amazing. It's like a different vibe out here for me when the sun isn't out. A different kind of beauty. I'm very much solar powered. I love the sun. And it was making me think of the sun, S-O-N, and God, and how people will say, I don't think he's real because I need to have evidence of God. And I'm just like, we are surrounded by evidence of God. Some people don't see it that way. And that's okay, they're entitled. But somebody was saying, how do you explain what an orange tastes like to someone who's never had an orange? You can use all the words in the dictionary to describe an orange. You can say tangy, tart, juicy, sour, all these descriptive words, just like I can use descriptive words to describe God and my experience of him in my life, like experiencing an orange. But until you have, I don't know if trying to explain God even works. So I guess I would just say, keep knocking, keep searching, keep asking. He's not going to give you a scorpion. And seek out those with good fruits, good fruitage, to be mentors, not your leader, not your father, but mentors. Those are my 2 cents for today. And I just wish everybody so much shalom. And when you come up to a big hill, view it as an opportunity. Woo! Almost had a big wipeout. I think that means we need to stop. The hills help you grow. Bye.